I was a rebellious young teenager in the late 60s and the 70s out in Minneapolis, and my dad owned a strip club and a gay bar. So I was very popular, and I dated heavily. That's what we called it back then. I also managed to attract a number of bi-curious or closeted men who could meet me and try out for both teams. I could see how it went with a nice Jewish female, and then if that didn't work out, we could go down to my dad's bar and drink and try out for the other team. So I'll tell you a little bit about my dad's club. It was quite an amazing place. It's actually a restaurant and a bar under one liquor license. The gay 90s was the straight part. That was the hetero part. And it was a kind of a bar right on the strip in Minneapolis where businessmen from out of town would go in to get a steak and a martini for lunch. And if they wanted to come back after the conference was over, they could watch the floor show and drink again and maybe meet a young lady who would be very, very happy to spend a little time with him. And there was a special room in my dad's bar for spending time with a nice young lady. On the other side was an intimate little gay bar, just a little strip. And the bathrooms were shared, so you could never tell what was going on, because in the beginning there was actually a stage show with strippers and some female impersonators and musicians, some good musicians. So this side was, the restaurant side was red velvet and mahogany bar and tables, a kitchen in the back, and the kind of a place where a mafia guy would walk in and say, "Oh, Al, wouldn't it be a shame if this burned down? Al, you wouldn't mind holding this package for me? My friend Tony just got out, and he'll be stopping by for it." Sure, I'll give it to Cal Taylor. I'll give it to the doorman, and so on. Tony quickly became my Uncle Tony. Cal became my Uncle Cal. When your dad's in the mafia, you have more aunts and uncles than you're related to be honest. Anyways, so it was a very fun place for me to hang out. And in the early 70s, they fired the strippers, they fired the band, and they put in a gay disco. They had a DJ up there, and they put a dance floor in here. So these young men that I would take with me downtown to the bar was really my first time being in the helping professions, helping these young men figure out what team they wanted to play on. And that's how I got started in my career with social work and rabbinics and all that. 3 of the guys I dated, out of the 3 of them, 2 went gay and 1 went Orthodox. And that's still how it is for me, that for every 2 gay friends I have 1 Orthodox friend. So that's been kind of my ratio. Now, one of the men I helped in this way was Barry H. I want to describe him to you. Tall, lithe, handsome, blue eyes, such a tease, little mustache, black curls. Oh, Barry H. The good ones get away. So he asked me if I would help him decide. And me being a very dear friend, I would do anything for Barry, so I did the deed with Barry. And it didn't go well. He was repulsed, might be too strong of a word, by the unfamiliar sights and sounds, odors. So it was so different than what he was used to. And so we went downtown. But now that he had decided, he had to leave town because his mother, Mrs. H., Shirley H., was a stereotype come to life. She would stand like this with a spatula in her hand and go, "Why doesn't Barry ever bring home any nice women?" Just like this. And so he went to LA the minute that he could finish high school and get out of there, where he became my very first friend to appear on national television. He was on The Gong Show. And he had started his career as a singing, dancing telegram messenger, and he was gone. But it was still good for business. So he was in very great shape. I was in college. I was still taking dance and movement classes at that time. When he came home, we went downtown and immediately hit the club, went dancing. So we start, disco ball, gay couples all over the place, me and Barry kind of doing a thing. And he starts like going, right? And a little bit of lean and then lean. And so he starts kind of giving me signals and I'm following him. And this is pretty fun and we're getting into it. And it's really building up. We're taking up space. He's swinging me around. I'm swinging back and I'm going, that's so weird. We're not bumping into anybody, but it seems like we're taking up a lot of room. But the reason that was happening is because all the men were standing around in a circle and clapping and time to the music as Barry and I finished the whole dance with me somehow schlepped over his knee like Ginger Rogers. And that was the last moment of it. And people went wild. They went wild. And all the other clients ran up to me and they said, oh, Andrea, introduce me to that dreamy man. Oh, Lord. We lost Barry H. to AIDS. And Mrs. H. came to his aid and accepted his sexuality. The minute that happened, she flew out to Los Angeles and fed him love and chicken soup until he passed away. She comforted herself by telling her friends that he had died of cancer and by telling herself that all of her other kids turned out regular. It was still really one of the high points of my life to be just in the moment, swinging and dancing like that. So much intuition and love and joy passing between us. And it occurred to me that it's ironic, but that the safest place for a frisky teenager in Minneapolis is in her dad's gay bar on the arms of a beautiful man.